Okay, so here's what we know. If you run a manufacturing operation, your best people are about to walk out the door and the labor market isn't sending you replacements. That's just a reality. If you're an ops leader or you're a GM or you're in the C-suite, man, you are in the right place. I want to take just 15 minutes of your time to give you 4 stats, 1 real problem, and a path out. Let's start with the stats. The first thing is that this labor shortage that we are in, it is now structural, not cyclical. The data is in. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are right now 500,000 manufacturing jobs in the US that are sitting unfilled. And it's been that way every single month for the last 6 months, and it's been trending that way since before that. This isn't a hiring problem that HR can somehow solve. It just isn't. It's a systemic cultural shift in the structure of the labor market right now. And so that's the first stat. The second stat is related to it. The real problem is that it's about to get worse. Deloitte says that in 2033, just a few years from now, 1.9 million manufacturing jobs are going to go unfilled. The industry, according to the study, the industry is going to need a total of 3.8 million workers at that time, and only half are going to be filled. That's not a hiring problem. You can't hire your way out of it. There are not enough HR solutions. There are not enough incentives to pull in the talent that you're going to need to work through this. It is a labor market shortage, but it's even more than that. This thing is not going to turn around at some point. This is where we are. This is the way it's going to be moving forward. The pipeline is broken. But that's still not the worst of it, because the reality is your best people are the ones that are closest to the door. The retirement wave is actually already here. The manufacturing workforce demographics just this year said that 1 in 3, I want you to wrap your mind around this, 1 in 3 manufacturing workers is already over age 55. That is a staggering statistic. What it means is that the people who know your operation the best, the people who've been there for 20, 25, 30 years, they're the ones right now who are planning for retirement, as they should be. Now that's concerning, but the 4th stat, is the one that should really hit you in the gut. This is something that actually came out in the Harvard Business Review. They were citing one of their own studies, and here's the stat. 42% of every employee's job knowledge exists only in their head. That is a scary thing to think about. So when that person who's planning to retire finally says, hey, it's time, 42% of what they did, not just what they did, but more importantly of what they knew, is just gone unless you've built a system to capture it. You know, most operations have collected mountains of data on what their machines do. You have it, I have it, we've seen it all over the country. 20 years ago, everybody said, collect data, and you got all of these PLC lines or whatever you use, and you've got these sensors, and you're just putting all of that data, and there's mountains of data on what our machines do and how they operate it, but almost nobody has spent that kind of time capturing what their people know. That's the most important thing. That is the scary part of losing the people in your organization who have the absolute most to offer. And so here's a kind of gut check question. Who in your shop is irreplaceable? Who in your shop is your best? There are people who come to mind. I guarantee it. I'm sure of it as I say it. And the question really is, do you have a plan for how you're going to capture and understand more than the leftover of the 42% of their knowledge? So those are your stats. There are your problems. Now let's talk about what we can do about it. I think you really have 3 plays to deal with this sort of overarching workforce problem in manufacturing. The reality is, we've already said it, but you can't hire your way out of a structural labor shortage, but you can build systems that multiply what your existing team can do. And you can build systems that capture the knowledge of your most experienced people before it's gone forever. So here are what I think are your 3 plays. Number 1, and this one's the obvious one, automate the floor. You got to make up for labor shortages. You got to do more with less people, and that's just a reality. And so you have to think about computer vision systems and line automation. You got to make it so that one employee can monitor multiple stations from one workstation, because there just aren't the people, the warm bodies to set at all of the points in the line that you're hoping to get. You gotta move people off the floor and into higher value roles. I've worked with companies to do just that, and it matters. You can create a computer vision system that automates the quality inspection at the end of every single one of your lines. And instead of having a separate person at the end of every line, you put one person in an air-conditioned office where they're doing the quality inspection through computer vision. That's the first play. Automate your work floor. But play 2 is this. Figure out how to simplify your workflows across your entire organization. Most of the time we find this savings in like admin work, in paperwork, in reporting, in how data is collected and disseminated, and all of those things that eat up a lot of people time. But those all should be done with automated processes. I would suggest you map all of your manual handoffs, all of your approvals, all of your data entry, and figure out where that's consuming time from your people, and work on the parts that are the in-between. That's play number 2. So play 1 is the line itself. Play 2 is the workflows that happen out sort of off the line and in between all of your people and all of your systems. And then the third play, which is aimed directly at this knowledge capture. You got to find a way that you don't lose 42% at every retirement party. SOPs are great, standard operating procedures, but they don't capture the why of the SOP. They only capture the what. And so when it's time for the next person to build the SOP, they're not as good as the one who had 20, 25, 30 years of experience to help decide the why of it. And one of the ways you can do that is you can build these sort of searchable living systems that document all of your veteran workers' experience. And sometimes that can feel overwhelming. Sometimes it feels like, how am I going to get my people to actually do that? But there are some really cool new technology that's happening with wearables right now. For example, you can have your veteran person wearing a watch or wearing a lanyard or whatever it is that's able to capture what they do, so they don't have to spend their time sort of developing this stuff on their own. It can watch them and create SOPs, but more importantly, understandings, knowledge bases of what they do all day, every day, and what their thought process is as they're doing it, as they're having these conversations. You don't want your operation to have to restart every time somebody retires, because here's what we know. The reality is that most ops leaders know all of this and probably aren't doing much about it. I mean, I understand it. I get why. It's not urgent until it is, until the retirement letter lands on your desk. It also sometimes just feels like an IT project. Hey, let's give that to the IT department. But man, I'm telling you from experience, it is not an IT issue. It is a leadership discipline. You might also think at times that this is an HR problem. We already talked about it. It is not an HR problem. HR cannot work its way out of this. There is no obvious place to start. And so many leaders, just like you, won't start at all. But I'd like to suggest that the cost of waiting is much higher than you might think. Every quarter that you delay, more institutionalized knowledge walks out the door, and fewer, less skilled people are walking in. And so here's the takeaway. For any clients that I work with, we always start with a strategic plan. First, you got to map your workflows and then go through every single workflow you have. Then we talk about what it would look like to build a knowledge capture strategy with your best people while they're still in the building. And I know that can feel overwhelming, but I would love to have a conversation with you about it. Just a real conversation about what those strategies might look like. And so just to recap, I told you I'd give you 4 stats, 1 problem, and a way out, and here they are. Number 1, 500,000 manufacturing jobs are sitting unfilled right now. That number jumps to 1.9 million in 7 years. And 1 in 3 of your workforce right now is over age 55, looking towards retirement, and 42% of the knowledge that they have lives only in their heads. And the problem is, you can't hire your way out, but you can build your way out. The clock is running. Your veterans are still in the building. Today is the cheapest day to start. I hope to hear from you. Okay.